I was asked to go out and look at some oak trees, and a failure occurred last week that created a bit of a panic. So the company that did the removal of the failure, the big oak tree that fell down, they went and they posted tree removal stickers. They're big 8 by 11 pieces of paper in big bold letters that says tree removal. And they put them on 3 additional trees. So I was asked to go out and look at these trees and see if I concur with what this other person indicated as being a hazard. So let me show you what's going on here. But I wanted to emphasize that the scare tactics that I see sometimes really bothers me. Especially if it's an older client, somebody that's afraid of a tree. I hear stories of the companies coming in and saying, "Oh, that tree is way, way too tall. If it falls down, it's going to hit your house and maybe kill you." If it's an older family, and that scares people. There's no reason for that. So the second thing I want to say is putting signs on trees that says tree removal. That is really unprofessional. That's putting out scare tactics to scare the neighbors into thinking, "Oh my gosh, we've got a problem. That's going to fall on the house, or that's going to fall and cause all kind of damage, maybe kill somebody." You've got to really justify the reasoning behind suggesting a tree removal. So I went out here and I looked at these 3 trees, and well, I'll tell you what, I'll show you what I found. All right, somebody marked this tree for removal. If I look at the high side, the leaf matter is virtually the same and things are unchanged in this area. I would have to excavate to see if there's any change in the base of the tree, but I don't see any reason to do that. There is a significant old cavity where something ripped out years ago. That's probably 25, 30 years old. That's not good, but that's not necessarily a reason to remove the tree. So the upper canopy up there is pretty full. If you're really worried about this tree going down, rather than removing the tree, I think I'd say, take off, 1 or 2 of those great big branches up there and lighten the load. This tree over here died, and the backside is compromised, but this tree here is pretty much the same as it's always been. A lot of these trees have got defects and cracks and holes and old age problems, but why he put an urgency on this and tagged it for removal, eventually it's going to succumb to this problem, but you can certainly buy yourself a lot of time by just lightening the load. And there's a big rip up there, so there's some problems in this tree, but you can certainly minimize it rather than remove it. The same guy marked this tree for removal, and there's some problems, but it's been there like this for a long, long time. This side has died back, and we did do a major weight reduction. I honestly have no idea who did this, but I believe this is very unprofessional to put signs on the trees that would scare people. That you have to say, what's different? What's going on? Is the tree in the same condition that it's been for decades? The foliage up there is kind of sparse, but I can't say I see anything different about this tree from the last time. Understand old trees have old tree problems, and eventually they die, and eventually they do have decay issues, but singling this out as a reason to put a sign on it, I think is irresponsible. And finally, the third tree that someone put a sign on for removal, the tree was impacted by the failure and broke some big limbs that they cut them off, but it is kind of stabilizing the hillside. It's a small tree. It's not in danger of falling over. you may want to do a moderately harsh pruning on this, so it'll just sucker out and become more of a bush of a tree. If you leave this to grow, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's certainly not a problem. None of these trees could I see any evidence of soil disruption, changes in the grade, or any reason to be fearful. So I believe he was just planting the seed of fear in you, and whoever it was, I have no idea. Okay, on that last tree, it would be really easy to say, all right, it's kind of a basket case. It was destroyed. Half of its foliage is gone. If you leave it to grow, it will just grow and grow and grow, and it'll start breaking up. Or you can bite the bullet and cut the heck out of it, which is not correct arboricultural procedure. It's not correct in taking care of a quality tree. But when you have a basket case tree, a tree that's been topped in the past, if you've got a tree that's been damaged, or if you've got a tree that's, under the power lines, or, sometimes too close to a house, sometimes you've got to do something a little bit dramatic and say, okay, this tree probably should be removed, but you know what, I don't want to remove it. Can we make it reasonably safe? And what'll happen with this tree is it's just going to sprout out and become a great big bush of brush, and it'll hide that house up on the hill. So the benefit far outweighs the damage of cutting it back really harshly. So I know that sounds a little hypocritical, because I'm always touting don't top trees, don't top trees. Well, this is a little different. The tree was damaged. It was impacted. It was destroyed. Half of it was destroyed. So sure, you can cut it down, but then you got to plant another tree, and that'll buy time. It's a balancing act. So oftentimes the decision is based upon economics. Is it going to cost you a lot more money to cut the tree down? Is it going to cost you a lot more money to plant a new tree in that area? Sure. Can you get away with a fraction of the cost by cutting it hard and letting it bush out again? Sure. So, got to weigh it all out. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate all the comments that you guys give me, and if you can give me a thumbs up, I appreciate that too.